When you are not practicing, you have to realize that somewhere someone else is practicing, and when you meet that person, they will beat you. There's a Latin expression, mens sano in corpore sano, strong mind and a strong body. I get it, like philosophy, athletics, that's not how we think about it. We make a distinction between those two. But in the ancient world, that wasn't how it was. Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, Seneca, these were active people. I'm Ryan Holiday. I've written a number of books now about Stoic philosophy, and I've spoken everywhere to the NBA, to the NFL, sitting senators, special forces leaders. At the core of my productivity, my work, is a physical practice too. I couldn't have written the books that I've written or built the businesses that I've built without an active physical practice. Running, swimming, biking, walking, all of this is part of my daily routine. And so in today's episode, we're gonna talk about what the Stoics can teach us about building a strong body in addition to a strong mind. And I thank my friends 10,000 who make awesome athletic gear for outfitting me in this video and helping make it possible. Epictetus says that you must undergo a hard winter's training. He was referring to how soldiers would train in the winter when they weren't at battle so they could be prepared when the battle did come. That's what practice is. That's what training is. That's what all of this is about, is preparing for that big day. Have you put in the hours? Have you put in the training? Have you prepared for this exact circumstance? Because the one who has done that is the one that will win. Bill Bradley says this, when you are not practicing, you have to realize, he says, that somewhere someone else is practicing, and when you meet that person, they will beat you. You have to run your own race. Seneca defines tranquility or peace or happiness, this word euthymia, as a sense of being on the path that you're on and not being distracted or misled by the paths that crisscross yours. Like, everyone's gonna be on their own journey, right? Everyone has their own potentials, their own limits. And so I think of athletics not being in competition with someone else, but being in competition with myself. I got out there, I'm running. I don't care if other people are passing me. I don't care if other people are in better shape than me. I don't care about anything that anyone else is doing. I care about what I'm doing. And I don't get distracted by the people or the paths or the footsteps or the runners or the swimmers or whatever it is that crisscross mine. Seneca says that life without design is erratic. The idea of having a routine, having structure, reducing the amount of variables and randomness in your life is, I think, a key part of performance. This is why athletes have routines. This is why practice is at a set time. This is why Lombardi would keep things on Lombardi time, like punctuality. You want to keep things contained. You want to keep chaos and disorder away. You want to get away from erraticness, and you want to get towards purposefulness, and you want to get towards clarity. This is why athletes have like rituals that they do. This is why they have even superstitions. I think this is just a way of reinforcing structure, of getting to a kind of routine, getting to the right headspace. So think about all the ways in which your life is erratic and without design, and focus on creating structure and design there, and you will see improvements in your performance as a result. In one of his letters, Seneca says that we treat the body rigorously so that it would not be disobedient to the mind. And I think about that when I'm jumping in the shower, jumping in a cold pool, whether I'm pushing myself while I'm running or lifting weights, is like, I'm reminding the body who's in charge. This idea that we treat the body rigorously, that's what the physical practice is. It's a reminder of who's in charge. It's the mind asserting itself over the body. We tend to think of philosophers as these sort of soft people, but actually the mental practice, the mental resilience, being in charge of yourself is the ultimate muscle that you want to cultivate, and it's the thing that every great athlete has to have. It was an ordinary regular season game against a team that he'd played dozens of times over the course of his career. Chris Bosh didn't know in the locker room as he was lacing up his shoes that it would not just be the last time he played the Spurs, but be the last time he played professionally as an athlete. An embolism in his leg would end his playing career suddenly, anticlimactically, tragically. When the Stoics talk about memento mori, that life is short, it's not just the idea that we could go at any moment, which we can. It's that the things we care about, the things we love, the things we're doing, we are not in control of them. We don't control when they begin or end. And so the reason the Stoics talk about being present, about not taking things for granted, about not deferring things into the future, it's for that reason. Because you don't know when your career is going to end. You don't know when your knee is going to blow out. You don't know how long you get to do things. And so to take them for granted, to assume they'll always be there, to not give your best, is arrogant. It's reckless. It's selfish. It's short-sighted, and you can't do it. Memento mori, life is short. You could leave life right now. Marcus Aurelius says, let that determine what you do and say and think. So the most important exercise in all of Stoic philosophy is called the dichotomy of control. The idea that there's some stuff that's up to us and some stuff that's not. And Epictetus actually says the chief task in life for the philosopher, but I think also for the athlete, for the professional, whatever it is to determine what that is, if it's up to us, if it's not up to us. As an athlete, really all you control is how you play. You control what you put in. You don't control the response. You don't control what the competitors do. You don't control the weather, the refs. You don't control anything but your own effort. So if you focus then on process, if you focus on you have to trust, as Bill Walsh famously said, that the score takes care of itself. Whatever the thing you're focused on, you don't get there by focusing on that. You focus on the part of it that you control, which is what you put in. The score takes care of itself, but only if you first take care of what only you can take care of. When adversity happens in life, when things are difficult, when you run into obstacles, which is going to happen, there is no escape from it. You have to be able to see it, the Stoics say, as a good thing, that life is pairing you with a strong sparring partner. And the purpose of a sparring partner is to help you level up, to get better, to practice and cultivate the very skills that you'll need in the match, in the ring, when shit gets real. So the idea is not to run away from adversity or difficulty or obstacles, but to embrace them. Marcus Aurelius says that the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. He says, what you throw on top of a fire becomes fuel for the fire. So don't think about the fact that it's hard or that it's difficult or it's not going your way, that this thing happened and you wish it hadn't happened. No, it's good that it happened because you're going to use it. It's going to make you better. It's teaching you something. And if you have this attitude, you are unstoppable because all the things that are happening are making you better, making you stronger, preparing you, teaching you, warning you, and that's what you want. Jimmy Carter, who was a cross-country runner at the U.S. Naval Academy, after he graduated in the early 1950s, he was interviewed by Admiral Rickover, who was the father of the American nuclear navy. It was a long interview that Carter had prepared for meticulously. And they go over topics. They talk about strategy, they talk about physics, they talk about history. And finally, Rickover looks at Carter and he says, "How did you stand in your class at the Naval Academy?" And Carter puffs up his chest and gets excited and proud, and he says, "I stood 60th in the class of 800. And then Rickover looks at him and he says, "But did you always do your best?" Carter goes to instinctively answer, "Yeah." And then he catches himself and he thinks about whether that's actually true. Were there classes that he coasted? Were there practices that he didn't fully push himself? Were there races where he had something left in the tank and he didn't give all of it? He decides to be honest and he looks at Rickover and he says, "No, I didn't always do my best." And then Rickover says, "Why not?" And then he gets up and he leaves the room. And that question haunts Jimmy Carter for the rest of his life. Why didn't he give his best? Why wouldn't he always give his best? So I think as athletes, as professional, amateur, weekend warrior, whatever it is, the question is, are you giving your best? Are you actually putting everything you have into this? Or are you holding back in some way? And if you are, the question ultimately that should haunt you is why? A big part of success is positive visualization. If you can't see it happening, it's unlikely that it's going to happen. If you don't see yourself on the medal stand, if you don't see the shot going in, if you don't see yourself connecting with the ball, it's not going to happen. But the Stoics would pair this positive visualization with a kind of negative visualization. term for this is premeditatio malorum, a premeditation of evils. Basically understanding that things are unpredictable, that because things can go wrong, they invariably will go wrong. How are you going to respond to that? Are you prepared to respond to it? Are you going to be rattled by the stuff that happens? Seneca says that the unexpected blow lands heaviest. Again, we were talking about Bill Walsh earlier. One of the Bill Walsh things I love is he would script the first several plays in a game so that whatever happened, however the game went, right, at the beginning, however the unexpected, unpredictable parts of a game, he knew what he was going to do. He had his plan locked that couldn't be affected by circumstances. So the idea is stuff is going to go wrong. Life is unpredictable, right? But you have to imagine for that. You have to prepare for that. Seneca says that the only inexcusable thing for a leader, but I think also for an athlete, to say is, oh, I didn't think that would happen. You have to think it would happen. You have to think it could happen. And you have to have a plan for what you're going to do if that happens. Epictetus would ask, how much longer are you going to wait to demand the best for yourself? Marcus Aurelius says, you could be good today, but instead you choose tomorrow. We put stuff off. Stephen Pressfield, the great writer, says it's not that we say, I'm never going to write my symphony. I'm never going to go out for that. I'm never going to put myself out there. We say I'm going to do it tomorrow. We wait. We put it off. And the Stoics say you can't do it. You got to do it now. Seneca says all fools have this one thing in common. They're always beginning to live. They're getting ready to live. They're not doing it now. They put it off. You can't put it off. Procrastination is the enemy. It's the enemy of progress. It's the enemy of the present moment. It's the enemy of doing your best. Don't put stuff off. Don't do it later. Don't say I'm going to work out tomorrow. Don't put it off. Do it now. We want transformation. We want to see immediate results. We want to get wherever it is that we're trying to get now. But the Stoics say no, it's about gradual progress. Marcus Aurelius says that, we assemble our life action by action. That doesn't sound like much, but no one can stop you from that. This is what I like 10,000 talks about, better than yesterday. Again, that's not much, but it adds up. Zeno, one of the founders of Stoicism, he says, well-being is realized by small steps, but it's no small thing. So being a little bit better than you were yesterday, focusing on the immediate step in front of you. Again, incrementally, that's not much, but cumulatively, it's enormous. And it's how you get from where you are now to who you want to be, to what you're capable of being. Step by step, action by action, better than yesterday. I hope you like this video. I hope you subscribe. But what I really want you to subscribe to is our daily Stoic email, 1 bit of Stoic wisdom, totally for free to the largest community of Stoics ever in existence. You can sign up at dailystoic.com/email. There's no spam. You can unsubscribe at any time. I love sending it. I've sent it every day for the last 6 years, and I hope to see you there at dailystoic.com/email.